right. Again, good evening, everyone. This is Rodin, and this is EP Trading, episode 17. And we're going to go ahead and get started with our picks for our markets, and actually just do some regular market talk throughout the evening here. And I'm joined tonight by the Anathema.
Hello, everyone.
Hey. Oh, Hulo, you beat me to it. I was just gonna talk about small shield extend. Oh, you saw it. Yep, I was just gonna talk about that. Actually, it caught me totally by surprise.
Small shield extenders?
Yeah. It you know what? It triggered in Fuzzy's tool for LP as the highest conversion item for Tribal Liberation Force at over 2,000 for a Warzone tier of
That's
tier
hard.
4. That's really good. And that's totally manipulated. That's not normal. That's totally manipulated.
Okay, because that's I was thinking this sounds a little bit high.
Totally manipulated, man. I mean, you're gonna have to at tier 4. You have to do manipulations at tier 4s.
But the thing is that I used to manipulate LP items when I didn't know any better, and I was kind of hitting the wall every time. I did try it, but yeah. People sometimes do that, I guess.
I can't even think of a fit that would make sense for using a small a faction small shield extender.
Faction small?
You know, like why? If you're using that, you probably don't have the skills.
Sometimes you need to put like 2 medium, 1 small, or something like that. It's like
yeah, I guess.
Like one fits in the universe that does that for cruisers, maybe.
Yeah, probably.
No, it's like usually large and mediums even. So. With smalls, it doesn't really trickle. Even on frigates, you put a medium, usually.
I mean, assuming you have at least most of the fitting skills to 4, you should be able to.
Oh yeah, you do.
You should be able to fit the faction medium shield extenders.
Yeah.
Kitey slash. Yeah, that's true. Slashers don't have much juice, so that makes a lot of sense.
That would be like a very, very niche application.
Yeah, we'll see. Anything crazy happening in your Eve life since Saturday when we last met in Skype?
Well, I mean, the investment is going well. Nothing crazy, but everything seems to be working better than intended almost. I thought it would be a lot slower on the buy side, but the market is going well. No price spikes on my stuff yet, so I can still buy happily. The market has been pretty interesting with the drone. The drone event was so good. There were so many things happening. You could do so many things. You could buy those skins that dropped for like a price that's probably never gonna happen ever again, because they just dropped for a little bit and now they're not gonna drop anymore for a long while. You have the MCT, which was like 15% off. So obviously you could buy Plex and get MCT to 15% off and then probably sell it for 10% more. I mean, there's a lot of... Last 2 weeks were crazy for the markets, but...
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of little things like that you could catch up on.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely be talking some... I think we definitely need to devote more time to investment stuff. So that's that both of us that we both do our own respective operations, our own respective hustles.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so we'll go through our review from last week real quick. Nothing too crazy from last week, to be honest. So one of the buys we called out last week was an Astero.
Yeah, that dried up pretty fast. I tried to buy some.
You know what? Maybe I'm crazy, and maybe someone can slap some reality into me, but it seems like when I start calling most of these items, they start reversing, man.
Can I just give you a list next time? Because
Yeah, right. No, like legit, man. Like except for the stars and the injectors, most everything I call out like reverses. By
2 weeks
Thursday.
ago, I'm still beating up myself over it for the drones because I could have swept off the buy orders, I mean the sell orders, and like someone did it the next day, and I was like, yeah, maybe I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna set a buy order and wait for it to fill.
Okay.
And my buy orders didn't fill. Someone picked up the sell orders, and it was gone like the next day. So I can definitely see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, it got a little the margins got a little tighter on the Astero, but the at least on the buy end, so it got a little bit more competitive that way. But man, it's still technically above average. It's above average. So if you were holding on to them, or if you're if you acquired the BPCs or you farmed them yourself, and you're getting more profit when you create them.
A good sell point is 61.5. I find you can just let those stacks sit there, and it will get eaten up. Level after level. 61.5 seems to be like the support in the sell orders.
Man, I remember trading these at 50-55, man, like consistently, but it's definitely cracked to 60 in the last 90 days. All right, next item we looked at for buys is the Orthrus. Such a cancer ship, man. Well, so this is an example of something that totally reversed what we called it. So it was actually it's still at buys. It's still at buys. It's starting to peak up again though. So
I would still buy them at the current price, yeah. And in the context of the current nerfs and everything, it's still pretty good because the added range on the scram is going to be something that T3Cs will probably still have, but without the HP they currently have. So this might see make a bit more stuff. They might see a bit more action, basically.
Yeah, I mean, if you're holding on to these, I mean, they had a really clean floor, so hopefully you were able to take advantage of that. Next item we looked at was multiple character training.
And this is a sweet one.
I'm sure it is.
if you have money, you just put your money in your wallet and you buy every one of them under 1.3 billion.
We call this
and you're gonna make money.
We call this as a buy because of the opportunity from the sales. It's
It still hasn't corrected.
Yeah, exactly. It hasn't corrected yet. It's continuing to draw downwards, but I mean, what's the normal price range for this?
There's another thing about the multiple character training is that there was an offer about the premium account that's going to run until the 5th of July. And this offer for $25 gives you something like 1 month of subscription. It gives you 650 plex and 1 MCT. So you're going to have, if you've set up a buy order there, you're also going to catch those people who got this offer for $25, which is a really good deal. And you're going to catch them selling their MCT they don't need, basically. So setting up a buy order at this point will also be a good idea. Because it's cheaper than it should be, and there's going to be people selling to you, most likely.
Dude, and the dang, the volumes, near 100 in the last 5 days, or last week when we called it.
It's been quite crazy last week, though.
Yeah, we caught it. We caught the, I think we put out, well, the MCT sale was already happening from last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, so the MCT sale lasted 1 week. So it was last week during the drawing event. And there's still like the sale for like, that's the bundle that gives you 1 MCT. So there's still going to be a few of them trickling down. But most of them was because of the conversion, I feel, because there's also this little coincidence about the fact that Plex stabilized around the 3 million mark while this was happening. And since it ended, basically, we started going down. There was no support for the buy orders to go above 3 million. So I suspect there's a fair few people who actually bought a fair few of them as well, be it like SP farmers or traders. But I mean, for SP farmers, it's a no-brainer. They have to buy them when it's on sale.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
then traders could.
Yeah. How badly would it hurt them if they actually didn't get a chance to take advantage of the sale, you think?
Plus, the margins are pretty tight, so if they have the money, they would probably have bought them at this point. Yeah.
Okay. That's definitely well outside my comfort zone to even consider buying. To be absolutely honest with you, I don't know enough of that mechanic, or that of that like relationship, MCT, Plex, skills, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of tough because you also have to take into account the Plex price. I mean, it's like several things tied together. It's always the price of SP and the price of Plex and the price of MCT. And even in that case, it wasn't very easy for me to think of it as a good idea because the profit margin on injectors are record low. So is it going to recover? Is skill farming still going to be a thing or not? That's like a good question as well. Because if it's not, then MCT and Plex could soon like get down a little bit. And instead of injectors going up with Plex, there will be Plex going down with injectors in some way.
Yeah. Interesting to see how this develops. I mean, it's kind of hard to make calls, I think, especially during summertime, when that's, historically kind of a lull period for Eve. I'm really curious how this plays out. If they were to do something like this again during, say, winter or early spring, how much of an effect that would have. I imagine it'll be a hell of a lot more than what we're experiencing now as far as the volatility.
Yeah, it could be also interesting at that point. I'm not sure which way it's going to go, but you're going to have to keep an eye out.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see what else we called out for buys. It's large scale injector. I mean, this all kind of plays into the same thing, right?
I mean, yeah, that's like the same thing. The profits are at a record low, so if Plex is not gonna dip further, then the injectors are a sensible buy.
Yeah, well, looking right now, it looks like it's finally done moving sideways. So this might be time to even be more vigilant when to cash out. But even if you were to, unless you're trading these in a 0 or near 0% tax environment, you're not going to get much profit if it just bounces up to previous highs. Hopefully it goes beyond it, but we'll see. It should, though. I mean, I imagine it will, especially with the. Actually, no. I mean, what's gonna really push it up? You know what I mean? It's not. There's.
I mean, if they actually present like a good alternative, for example, I mean, what would be interesting, for example, is if the battleships suddenly become a lot more interesting than the T3Cs. You could see a little bit of a change of skills and people being interested in changing the skills from like a T3C pilot to a battleship or maybe carrier pilot. Even though no, carriers are not the right analogy because they got nerfed as well. They got the bat. I guess into a dread pilot in PvP because that might be a transition.
Yeah.
Dread are a thing now. Carriers are kind of useless, sadly. T3Cs, we don't know yet, but if there's a solid alternative, then people are going to go there. So there's going to be a fair bit of skill change this summer.
I mean, you think in this day and age in Eve that a T3C, the people would actually rush for a Tech 3 Cruiser? I mean, I imagine most people already have it, but I guess, alts and stuff like that,
I mean, like, the thing is that they will probably have it already now.
Yeah.
Because it's so useful. But the thing is that you could do fine with a focused T3C pilot in most settings, but if T3Cs are nerfed to the point that they're not doing what they did before, this is going to change towards an interest to maybe battleships or battleships or battle cruisers.
Yeah, we definitely.
So that would mean you have to retrain or inject or do something about it.
Yeah, I definitely want to touch that subject as far as the T3C rebalancing. Yeah, man, that'll be interesting. Actually, I'm super interested to see what you think about that when we get to that point. All right, next cells that we called up from last week. One of our darlings, of course, SARS. This is such a failed fucking drop adjustment. Fuck, man. So bad. So bad. Just in the last 3 days, did it go below average? So it was good. It was a good thing to sell up until like the last 3 days. So it's not bad. It's a good call. How far will this go down? Man, that's a big Danshin channel. That's a big Danshin channel, man. So it's hard to tell. It wouldn't surprise me if it goes pretty close to maybe 5.5. The super low end in the next 30 days. All right, next one is Phantasm. This ship just doesn't see enough action, man. It's actually a good ship. All right, it was a sell, but then it corrected in the last 4 days here. So hopefully, folks were able to take advantage of that. Cinnaball, I'm so glad I got out of that market. Fuck, that was tough. That was super tough. So we called this as a sell since it was definitely above average. I cashed out. The net result wasn't much. I bought it way too expensive, unfortunately. But I'd rather be close to break even versus a deep loss. So, but it looks like it's correcting itself. How far will it correct? We'll see. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I don't think the Cinnaball is going to be any stronger after all these changes, to be honest.
I mean, it could be an option, but I haven't seen it that much already. There's so many other options. I don't see Cinnaball fates being used.
Yeah, like Cinnaballs were cool and Vagabonds were cool, you know what I mean? Long time ago.
I mean, right now, the candidates would be basically like drop-in replacements for webs, for scrams. So that's like basically, that's the Orthrus, that's the Vargas, that's the stuff like that, basically.
Yeah.
That replaces like the utility, but it has a better tank now. I mean, that's potentially will have a better tank, I should say.
Yeah, it's true. And the last item we called. The last item we called from last week was the worm. We called it as our last sell. It was above average until, I'm not sure what happened in the last 4 days, but a lot of these seem to have followed each other starting from 4 days ago. It might just be just common price action movement. So it's a pretty crazy spike with worms too. I mean, ever since it received its last bit of nerfs like a year ago or so, it really hasn't seen the same level of popularity.
That's true. Yep.
Because those nerfs are fucking heavy. Alright, well, hopefully folks made some money or didn't lose too much from those calls. The recent transactions, for me, really, the only thing I can think of right now that I have, I should move the screen around so you guys can maybe see it. So I've been receiving, I think since last week I received 2 more semi-large buyback contracts from one of our operators working out of Horde Space. So I'm slowly but surely whittling it down. I did have well over 1,000 items in my item hanger to put on sell, but now I'm down to 675. It's still a lot, and I sure as hell am not going to utilize my other traders to all work out of the same station. So only one of my traders is working out of Jita. And I'm just going to have to just slowly but surely work it out until it's all gone. That's basically what I've been working on. Apart from regular buyback items like loot and stuff like that, I've actually been receiving from my operator deals on blueprints as well. So I'm really, really happy that for how...
That's actually quite a good deal. If you can get them at the right price, it's pretty profitable business because blueprints are need basically the extra effort to either source them or find them.
Yeah, I
It's a
mean,
good business.
especially in such a population-wise saturated area, potentially, horde being horde. Um, it's a great setup, man. It's a great setup. I'm super happy to have actually, be working with our operators in that space. Do you have an experience with that kind of contract work, Anathema?
Oh, I did my most of my money seeding Horde actually
Yep.
when I was like, I mean, I wasn't a beginner. I used to trade. I think I made my first 15, 20 million maybe trading. I seeded Horde to get it up to 50, then lost most of it because I went AFK and it lost at the nullsec station. So I recovered maybe 32 million of that, and then back to trading.
Wow. Okay. Dang.
So yeah, I mean, it happens. Someone was happy to get my contracts, I guess, this day, but I had my liquidity and I went back to it and it was fine.
Okay, great. One of the things too that I definitely noticed is like being exposed to this kind of work really motivates me to actually try nullsec again, to be honest. But at the same time, it feels like I can still get a piece of this action without being in nullsec, and it feels like I almost exclusively have to not be in nullsec. I have to be on the Jita side of the equation, right?
I mean, the good thing about Horde is that anyone can join, and the ecosystem for the market is pretty open. There's a few official programs, but most of them are play run and they run like that, which is like a great thing for business and everything. But there's probably a lot of opportunity we don't see because there's so many Gnostic alliances that are not open to the public and that probably do their own stuff and that probably don't have that many people seeding or doing a buyback or whatever. So there's probably a lot of opportunity, but it's like Gnostic being what it is. There's not going to be one person who's going to be able to get into all of the alliances. Like you're going to have to do that on your own level in one corner of space and do your best, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, if I were to do this as a freelancer, I need a jump freighter. Either that
Yeah,
or
that too. Yeah.
either that or be able to. I mean, preferably, I would rather farm out that necessity to jump freighter services. I'm definitely a fan of getting as many people involved as possible. I think in the end, that makes the overall economy richer for everyone, even if it's not a direct positive for my end right away. Like
Yeah.
it gets more hands in the pot. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And jump trading is not that expensive nowadays. It's relatively easy to do.
Yeah, it's just the work, right? I mean, I sold my jump freighter like as I was kind of liquidating stuff to pay everyone back because I just honestly wasn't using it. I'm kind of kicking myself now.
But that's for the point, because you
kept it.
can pay someone for like a fraction of their load, and you can just do that every day, and you'll be fine, right? You don't have to do a full load and do it yourself. You don't have to do it like the same day, otherwise you're getting behind. So it's also nice to outsource what you can, because it means you play less and you can focus on optimizing like the part that really matters.
Yeah,
It's kind of the industrial revolution, but we're doing it ourselves in space, which is kind of funny. Specialization, all of that. So
true.
it's what I found is really good because now I do two things. So I do an LP buyback and I do speculation. I just do those two things and I basically outsource all the rest. So
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with outsourcing. I think
that's exactly
it took me a while to actually graduate into that idea. When I started as a miner, it seemed so natural to think that I must do everything because if I do everything, it's more profit for me, which is a total fallacy in the end. To some degree.
I mean, there's two ways to do it. I mean, you can do
degrees,
everything. But yeah. You can do everything, but you need to have every step of the process optimized. And it's really difficult to do that unless you're a pro back.
Yeah. Either
if
you have the
you're
time
pro
or the
back,
tunes, right? Time, tunes, or money.
But once you have one step of the process optimized, you can get into other aspects naturally. But
Yeah.
You need to put the effort into being like the best possible person at this one thing first, and then I guess you can try other stuff. That's how I see it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. What else? Any crazy transactions that you got a piece of over the weekend?
Transactions as in market or
Mm-hmm.
well, should I say? I mean, I'll probably say it because I bought about 90 multiple character training things.
Good lord.
So I mean and it was when the price was at 2.9 mostly. So I still bought it at a good price when it wasn't like completely at 3 million. So overall, I'm happy with that purchase. I just don't know how long it will take to sell. That's my only problem right now.
Is this your first venture into the MCT trading world?
It's my first venture, like dumping that much money
At
into
least
one
at this
thing.
scale, I guess.
At this scale, it's not. I mean, but then you have to do it at this scale because the scale of this kind of item is also that big, right? I mean, you can buy 100 billion of Plex and it won't change that much, right? It's the scale of the item, not necessarily the investment.
I hope that moves relatively well for you, man.
On the other side, I have already bought 20 out of 60 billion of a low speculation pocket, like let's say portfolio for speculation for the summer patches. I'm really happy about this as well. I didn't think it would be so fast, but I bought 20 out of my 60 I wanted, so I'm hoping the patch doesn't get announced until then. And I'm hoping to stockpile this for 60 billion and run away with it.
I mean, worst case scenario,
But
you
that's
can
secret, so.
probably offload that to like skill farmers, right? I would imagine.
For the MCTs, yes. That's my plan because I know people who have a total of 200 accounts combined. So I can't even keep them up for 1 month. So I think that should be fine to sell if I can negotiate a price or if they. The only worry I have is that it becomes so unprofitable that they will stop it. That's the only trouble I would have. But as long as it don't stop, I can sell it to them at the right price and it will sell back in about a month.
Okay, that's good. There's an out, so that's good. It's always good to have an out.
There's an out. I just don't know. Like it could be at most 1 month, maybe earlier if I'm lucky. We'll see about that.
All right, cool. All right, so it's a quick review of some content that came out over the weekend. CSM podcast came out. I'll link this to you guys in case you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it either. Have you found anything interesting from it? So
this is the CSM.
I'm curious.
The CSM podcast.
Yep.
You know, it was a really good talk. Aerith was there. A lot of it was pretty. I think it was pretty revealing as far as how CCP has reacted to the latest round of kind of communication failures. You know, Aerith has his way of explaining things in a very succinct way.
Okay.
I really appreciate guys like him in the CSM. I really, really do. I wish there were more like him in the CSM. Or we can at least continue to have guys like him in the CSM, hopefully. But as far as stuff, it was kind of there were points in there that was kind of like, it was kind of disheartening in that, you know, they were telling, you know, the CSM were telling CCP, hey, this is bad, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have to quickly react to this when it does hit the fan. And they just said, hey, whatever, man, we'll fucking deal with it. So that was kind of disheartening in that, you know, I mean, if you're not going to utilize the CSM, if you're not going to, you know, respect their existence, why fucking have it?
Yep.
Why have it? It makes no sense. I think it only serves as a publicity piece for so long, and it's probably that even that part's probably waning after all these years.
I like the focus group a little bit better because it's more transparent and there's actually stuff going on of it, and you actually have people from the focus group interacting with other players, apparently. Like, there was one guy posting on Reddit, like, basically give me all your T3 fits, and I will, like, kind of get an idea of how it is right now. And he actually had, like, good answers to whomever posted their fits and the questions they had. And you'd think this is the kind of guy who should run for CSM, right? But I mean, he's like just in a focus group, if I'm not mistaken. So I mean, I think that's, and also focus groups also brings people who are actually interested in the aspect that's being discussed. I think that's an important point. Even though they're not being flown over to Iceland by CCP, even though don't have that many means, they do have in common that they're interested in one thing and they're actually somewhat competent at it, while the CSM is just representatives at best. They can't be like good at everything that's being discussed. So.
Yep. Yeah, hopefully they can continue that. It's Apothene that's actually leading that. Apothene and Yintan that's actually leading that up. Hopefully they continue to produce those. I think they've been doing them like once every month or two. So that's a really good cadence, I think. Another media thing that happened over the weekend was actually Blue Horseshoe Club, obviously episode 5. So we did that this Saturday. I'm really glad that we're able to keep up a weekly cadence for that as well.
Yeah, it was great. Talked a lot about the different tangents, esports. What do we talk a lot about as well?
The big thing that really sticks to my mind was when Marsha asked us, do we think Eve is in decline?
Oh, I
was like, that was like,
that kind of forms because it's like,
whoop.
I mean, yeah, maybe it's in decline, but we really have to say it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, but at the same time, economically, like by economics, I mean like real life economics, like CCP getting paid, it probably doesn't seem like it's in decline. You know what I mean? They're probably making more money these days with a much more robust microtransaction program. But that's less people just spending more, right? I think I'm assuming that that's what's happening right now. Less people spending.
Maybe less people also. I mean, it could also be people who play less because the only metric that people seem to care about is the amount of people logging at the same time. Maybe people play half the time they used to play because there's alphas. They don't have to farm for their like huge amount to pay for Plex. They can just play, have fun, be an alpha, and just play a bit less, I guess. I mean, that's like a very simple explanation of one of the possible outcomes, but it would be enough that enough people stop playing like, or I say play 30% less. Then you would see the same phenomenon as we have now, right?
Yeah, I mean, to me, like, I'm not sure what the sweet spot is for having alphas and omegas coexisting, right? So, should it be split down the middle? Should there be more? You'd want more omegas, obviously, right? But I imagine there's going to be more alphas and omegas in reality.
From player perspective, I think it's very good right now these days. Now, from the CCP perspective, it seems like they're making a lot of money from microtransactions because alphas can also partake in that. They can buy Plex to fund their stuff instead of paying for a subscription. So, I don't think CCP will regret that or they want to change that too much because it actually works for the player base. I might be wrong, but that's just my perception.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to ask you. I think an episode, like 2 episodes ago or something like that. I think it was Marsha and someone else that was saying that the alphas were a failure. But I didn't really get a chance to kind of poke and prod that question a little bit more. Like, do people think it's a failure because there's not as many alphas that turn into omegas, or is that like the new player experience aspect of the alphas? I was kind of curious. I was kind of surprised people said that it was a failure.
The new player experience could certainly be better, but I don't think it's that bad.
I don't think so either.
Because I could get a couple of fans to I could just tell a couple of fans like basically follow the tutorial, follow the first missions. You finish this, and then you come back to me, and they mostly didn't need any guidance. So I think that on that point it's a success. But I also think that Eve has some trouble passing on some concepts. I mean, it's not about just knowing how to pilot your ship, knowing how to uh, use your ship. It's also about the philosophy in the world of Eve. Because most people get frustrated because they don't think their ships are disposable. That's like one big thing about being a new player in Eve. You think you get attached to your ship and then it dies, and then what are you going to do, right? But ships should be disposable, and that's like something you learn very fast when you go into a PvP alliance, which is also not something that's emphasized because you're not really encouraged to join a group in the new player experience. But I think you should be encouraged to join some more plays, and you should be encouraged to do ships, and you should be encouraged to do that kind of stuff that makes the game fun. Because if you're worried about losing your ship, the game is definitely not going to be fun.
This is very true. Yeah, you know what? That kind of actually segues nicely to one of the things that I talked about as well during that on Saturday was, you know, like, man, and Marsha kind of like shot me down on the idea pretty quickly when I said, like, you know, like CCP doesn't really give us content; they give us tools, right? That's what it feels like, and it just feels like it would be nice to actually get content every now and again. It seems like we're getting that now, you know, but
like the Rogue event, would you consider that like new content?
I mean, me personally, I don't, not really, because it's seasonal. I mean, it is still content. I get it, you know, but even that, like,
I mean, then, that's kind of content, right?
Yeah, no, it is, you know, but it's. I wish there was more long-lasting content like that. I mean, I don't know if there's just isn't any interest, but if Eve had the same type of storyline type of PvE, like real ones, right? Not like mission ones that we have here, but actual a platform to tell the story of New Eden through PvE while playing Eve, and not just through like fan generated content. I think that would be a good thing, but we never got there. You know, we never got to that space. I don't know if there just isn't any demand for it, or there isn't any dev time for it. Both.
I mean, maybe with the Pirates Sodios and stuff like that, maybe there's some like TV that could be in there, but it's so soon, and Eve is gonna be a game that it might very well do that, but it might very well do that in 10 years as well, right? It's a bit slow moving, understandably, but you see some things interesting, like the Sodios, like the Blood Raiders. Now it's gonna be other pirate factions. And once this gets rolling, there could be more things that go into shaping up nullsec and being dynamic in the sense of a mix of PvP and PvE. There could be a lot of things, but at least with this, they might be moving in the right direction if they execute it better than they did for the first round of Sodios. Because we've seen the kind of mess that was with frigates and the loot steal and all of that, but it could go in a good direction, let's say.
Okay. Next portion I kind of want to delve in. Just a quick rant. It's more from observations from LowSec the past few weeks.
That's interesting because I've actually been in LowSec quite a bit, so I will be too.
So I've been continuing to be, more active in the. Let me type this out real quick. So in the last, get back to the game. I'm gonna show everyone. So what I have here on screen, guys, is so this is kind of my hypothesis. Ooh. Oh, Sven's like, tell me what to spend my LP on. Actually, that's kind of where I kind of want to segue this. Now, mind you, this is not a quick flip. This is this is a very systemic move for LP. I've done these before, and it takes months for these things to pay out. But when they do, it's so sweet, so sweet. Sven asks, "Wait, are all those free ports?" Why, yes, they are. All the free ports that I found in both war zones. So by both war zones, I mean the Amar and Minmatar faction warfare space, and the Kaldari and Galente faction warfare space. I can't actually show. Let me see how far down I can stretch this, but it's lots of them, all the way down. I think it's past the window that I can show now. And that's not all of them. That's just what I happen to come across. All right, Rip faction warfare. I totally agree. Rip faction warfare. Unfortunately. So this is my hypothesis, guys. Let me put some. Let me put up another screen. Kind of support my hypothesis. Make sure this is going to be visible. Yeah, you can kind of see it. All right, in the bottom part right here, guys, where I'm highlighted, hopefully you can see it. Make sure have the screen. It should be visible. Systems controlled. That's what's highlighted right now. Kaldari at 16, Minmatar at 70, Galente at 85, and Amar at 0. We're about a month, if not more, a month into the conquering of Amar faction warfare space by Minmatar. And they're still at 0 retaken.
Mm-hmm.
I have never seen that in my nearly 7 years of existence in faction warfare. Never seen it. Because usually what would happen is as soon as you hit 0 or a certain point where they can't take any more, and the immediate response is they establish a beachhead, a single system to start retaking everything again, right? And basically reverse the whole process. Didn't happen this time. Didn't happen. Why did it not happen? It didn't help that there's all these damn fucking citadels that are free ported. This list of dang citadels that are free ported exists in the war zone. Because now what's the incentive to actually take over the system when there's a beachhead established via the free ported citadel? And as far as the slight bonuses that did exist for those NPC stations in the war zone, as far as bonuses to like market tax and production and stuff like that.
They completely eclipsed now. They don't matter. But
yeah, I mean, it didn't. Yeah, because the citadels blows all those.
I remember the Losing panel actually. There was lots of people talking about that at FanFest, and CCP's response was that basically there's no easy way to make that kind of thing happen with citadels, and
as far as those bonuses,
really hurt them. Yeah.
I wonder why that is.
They don't have any. I mean, bonuses. You could argue that you can't do it, but even then, making it like not a free port, how are you gonna do that? Like, how are you gonna differentiate like people who don't partake in faction warfare and those who do? Are you gonna make all citadels obey the same rules as the stations? Or basically, they didn't have any answer for that. So if they're gonna do anything about it, it's not gonna be anytime soon because they don't know.
They don't have time. They don't have time, man. They don't have time. They don't have the dev man hours to dedicate to it. Honestly, because I am a low stack faction warfare guy.
Like, would we like it? Yeah, but like maybe it's not the most important aspect.
It's not. It's not gonna be as effective in improving the quality of life of players if you were to say do stuff to improve null sec or even high sec, really, So that kind of set the scene right there. So now what can we do from a market perspective using that information? So if I were a Ben man and I had a little bit of money to spend and I can afford to wait.
Also, a good question is betting on that kind of stuff allowed on with the EULA? Because
What do you
I
mean?
would bet I would bet that kind of stuff. But is it even allowed by the EULA, like
to
the
do what?
end user,
To
to bet
bet?
on that kind of stuff? Because I mean, I would bet on that kind of stuff. I would like to, but
Oh, actual betting, like player to player betting.
yeah, but like not betting
Oh,
on the AT,
yeah, that
but
was you,
betting
right?
like on that kind of stuff, right?
That was you, right? Someone
Oh, you
asked.
did see it in the chat. No,
Yeah,
we
yeah, yeah.
won't go into that in like a public fashion. But I didn't have a bet.
That's actually a really good question because you know what? With the AT
Actually,
about
the
to get
bet is
hot,
conditional. Yeah.
with the AT about to get hot, I mean, I don't know if
There could be someone who actually has enough trust to just set an alpha out and like manage that betting pool, I think. But I mean, you can't really get rid of betting, can you? You can just make it
you
illegal.
can't
But
because you can't prove without a shadow of a doubt that it happened or not. Because
yeah, then
you
even
can
then,
talk it
it's
out.
like the provisions are usually for like how to say, they're usually for RMT, so it's gonna be a lot different than, for example, a betting scheme. So even if they wanted to ban people, they would have to come up with something new. And I guess as long as you do it in like a small scale,
Well, you can always
you'll be
use the
fine.
contracts market to pay each other out, and
Yeah, I mean, no, even then you can just cash it out. It's like fine. But the pattern is not going to be the same as RMT. So are they actually going to look out for it?
no,
Is someone actually going to report the person doing it?
nothing's that's triggered in their system. So
I know. I know.
Right. We'll see. All
But
right.
we'll see.
The LP store website right there. So this is what I intend to do. I have to do a little bit of research and kind of observation. But based on how little effort Amar has going for it, I'm pretty sure I have plenty of time to actually do this research. Do I believe that eventually, Amar will eventually pick back up? Yeah, it's gonna take a lot longer now with Citadels, but I think eventually it'll get there. So I intend to actually buy traditionally good moving and like a decent volume actual used Minmatar faction items and just start stocking them, and then when it flips and just cash out then. But these are the markers that you should probably watch out for though, guys, when you're looking through that website. So the thresholds tend to be, if you can trade it for 1,000 ISK for LP, it's a decent trade. Anything above that, it's cake. It's gravy. Below that,
But that's like only faction LP, right? So.
Yeah, so this is very specific to the quantity that you can farm through faction warfare. That 1,000 is kind of like right there, right? So what are the kind of what are Minotaur faction items that tend to move well? Actually, their ships move really well. Firetails move pretty well. Shield extenders move pretty well. Their propulsion modules move really well. What else? Their books are okay. Their faction drones aren't as popular as the Galante variants. Yeah, like if I can.
Skill books, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
But skill books, you shouldn't buy skill books with faction warfare LP though.
Yeah,
I think.
The specialization.
No, you can't. You can buy them with all LP, so it wouldn't make sense to buy them with faction LP. With faction warfare LP, I think. Even though the rate is pretty high, but you could have like someone like say me, who has way. I mean, I'm kind of struggling to actually catch up in Mata LP right now. So my next move is to say, fuck it, I'm buying 2,000 skill books and I'm letting it sit at 900 LP, basically. That's like my next move is that, basically. It's like, fuck it, I'm just gonna dump it at once and it's like, I'm done. So if you're actually planning on doing that with skill books, I mean, you can do it.
Me
The
personally,
rate is pretty
no.
good.
I would actually focus on the ships and the modules.
But there's gonna be someone like me who's too lazy to actually find good items and just drop a ton of the market and crash the price to my usual rate, which is a lot lower.
All right, Sven Vico's got a question here. It's a really good question. What do you think would happen if someone bought out all these markets today? Is there enough LP saved up? There is a shit ton of LP saved up to actually start balancing out. Let's see. What's a good one to look? Actually, yeah, Republic Fleet Medium Shield Extender is a good thing to look into. So Republic Fleet Medium Shield Extenders is probably one more decently priced and decent volume for these items. If you were to buy it all out right now and then relist it, like I want to buy and relist it, not while Mimitar is still at tier 4 because it's too easy to refarm it. But if you can catch this item as it's being noted in the LP conversion as below 1,000 LP, 1,000 is per LP, I would start snagging it at that price value, and then just know that once
Republic Fleet, you say?
Yeah, Republic Fleet.
1,000 per LP. Even that sounds high.
1,000 is the gold standard though for faction warfare.
Yeah, but are they acquirable only through faction warfare?
No. So you can get this traditionally through mission running. It's just it takes way longer than doing faction warfare sites.
Okay, so the conversion is different. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's the conversion is different. It's
that's what. Because yeah,
it's at least double. That's my strategy at least. Every time I notice things that are in the 800 ISK per LP mark, I'm gonna start buying them in mass. Or in mass within my means. You know, I'm not big balling like you, Lima. But at least that's my strategy. So unfortunately, it's definitely a buy and hold strategy. Basically waiting for Amar to wake up. And
I hope Amar recovers as well, because I have sellers from Inmatar. They're waiting. Luckily, I'm actually quite lucky because my main seller actually burned his graphics card. So
oh really?
I have 2 weeks without like commitment right now. I have 2 weeks to like kind of chill, but I have like big quantities coming every week, and I have to kind of give them best price if I want to keep them. So like, Amar has like 2 weeks to recover now for me. So
we'll see.
I hope. But as you said, Citadels don't make that very easy. So. Because
to be honest,
he also has been a bit pricier than the others, like by a factor of 30% or 20% more.
It tends to be pricey because of the shitty volume, though.
The volume isn't that shitty. I mean, it's not that great.
It's just not as popular.
You can
it's the least popular faction items. They belong to Minmatar.
It is, but there's a few. I mean, there's enough items to actually go through. It's just
yeah, it's a tough one.
I just wonder that if it could probably crash back to like the other stores level.
It's easier to manipulate since you're playing with lesser volume overall, right? But the mechanics to gather the LP is still the same.
I mean, right now there's some items that are getting to the point where I'm thinking about actually manipulating the market and buying it up. Because
really,
but I have to be reasonably sure that it won't keep going down back to the others where they are. Because Minmatar is like the only one that is like slightly above the others. Because the others are very consistently at the same price, which means that we could reasonably cash them out for +3 to +5 implants. But if you do that with Minmatar, you lose a lot of money because the items are so much better. Better in terms of price per LP. So I just hope it doesn't crash down to that level with the others. But
yeah, let's see. Well,
That's a good question, I guess, for next week.
yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, we'll definitely be observing this a lot more. Just to move on, since to kind of move things along here, there's also was an article. It's a really good article concerning the Tech 3 cruiser rebalance. I'm gonna link that to you guys. My only idea with the Tech 3 cruiser rebalance right now is I'm not a speculator by trade, so I have to kind of wait to see what develops. Based on what it appears they're gonna be, I'm having a hard time believing that any like post rebalance that any of these Tech threes are gonna be adopted as a mainline doctrine. What do you think of that? Am I
It's
totally off
difficult.
base?
It's really difficult because so many things could change. I mean, some of them could be good. If you could come up with a 100 mm doctrine that goes fast enough, it could be interesting. If they got rid of the SPLs, that would also be interesting because it would mean they're probably price competitive with the others. Because right now they are not, because you lose SP. Also because insurance is really poor. But yeah, you basically lose a lot of money with T3s compared to faction cruisers or T2 cruisers. So making the pricing more competitive would be one thing, and this will mean one fewer subsystems. So maybe it's even going to be cheaper at that point. If they're sufficiently cheap, and if they can still go as fast as they do right now, maybe a bit faster, the loss of EHP will not be the biggest thing. I mean, if they just lose the HP, they still have a lot of DPS and a lot of speed to their advantage and notification. They could still be used. But you would still lose like the whole kind of support T3 cruiser in a battleship fleet or against a battleship fleet, because then you would just need to squish it. So you're still gonna have all that part of like quick and slippery cruisers, but you're probably going to lose the very, very tanky support kind of stuff. Because I mean, there was like a big fight with BL and Waffles one day, and I remember because all of the Lokis survived. Only Macros were getting killed because Lokis were so small and so tanky that they had the resources to basically tank the enemy fleet. Since we could rev them, we could save them, but the Macros couldn't. So technically, they were tankier than Macros, which could be a bit ridiculous, even though they were more expensive, of course. But having a T3 cruiser more tanky than a Macro, I can understand the desire to rebalance that.
Yeah, one interesting thing too is they're gonna change the recipe for making them, and if they're gonna add new requirements to the build, I'm hoping that it is not a salvage item that you can just get off of the anoms that you can just warp to at will. I'm kind of hoping that they make it a little bit more complex and maybe at least my dream scenario.
Well, yeah, but wouldn't that make it more expensive as well?
I think they're way too cheap right now.
You think so?
Ow, dude.
Because I mean,
way too cheap.
compared to T2, I mean, they could be more expensive if there wasn't the scale loss, I guess. But
Just wait, like as far as straight as a manufacturer, dude, they're way cheap. Wait, they shouldn't be this cheap. They shouldn't be this cheap, considering the skills involved to actually build these damn things.
I mean, I tried to understand how it works. I saw like a diagram, and I said, okay, I will look at T3 production when I'm on vacation. I have some time to lose because this is crazy. this is kind of crazy, but I can see the effort in it. It's definitely a lot of effort to manufacture.
Yeah, it's too cheap, man. It's too cheap to make. That's just me as a builder that builds them out an empire. I don't build them in wormhole space or nothing crazy like that. You
Yeah,
know,
but if something is not profitable in Empire, then it's like, or little has little profit in Empire, then it's kind of difficult to make it. Right?
it used. I
Because
mean,
everything else is profitable in Empire. There's like there's nothing that's not profitable in Empire, if I recall.
it's just if having an added complexity in farming the items and producing them would be nice. Of course, we already have that with the polymers. But if they're gonna add, if they're gonna change the recipe to, add requirements. I mean, they could maybe do that in by way of the polymers. Since the reactions, the reaction citadels are coming online soon-ish. So that'd be something I think. But if they do the added requirements via salvage, I'm gonna be curious to see how that pans out.
Adding some salvage up is kind of dangerous though, because the market is, I mean, it's quite stretched out with the stills already. But maybe they want it to be more valuable now. I don't know. I find the price of salvage to be quite high compared to like the historical price, but maybe it's just because I'm biased because I knew the price, what the price was before. But adding more salvage into other stuff, I don't know if that's like the best idea. Maybe it is because it would be like different type of item to collect, but
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily like make sense like in the production in general. I guess rigs are still always pre-rigs, so yeah.
Yeah, especially when you think about the reduction of so we're gonna have one less subsystem, right? How is that gonna shake up the subsystem market? I'll tell you right now, the subsystem market, when I traded them, they're super stable, like ridiculously stable.
Yes, very
Clockwork.
sweet. Yeah.
So it'll be nice to actually see that kind of shake up. I'm really hoping that this does shake up um, the Tech 3 market a little bit, because a lot of the markets that we in game is just super stable, man. There's not enough inherent volatility because not there aren't spikes of destruction or really really good spikes of destruction. So just saying.
I mean, T3Cs usually are small after they get away. That's sort of the thing, I guess.
Yeah, so I'm really excited about how these pan out and what gets figured out as far as fits, and hopefully some really some really balanced um, doctrines are thought of, and hopefully they see enough action and they actually experience a fair amount of destruction as well, because slippery Pete's are cool, but it's kind of hard to keep reselling them bitches if they don't die. Just saying. Hopefully, we find that sweet spot. I think it's gonna be very crazy though. At least in the beginning, I think there's gonna be a lot of crying about they're not as strong, but they're way too strong. To be honest, they're way too strong for the cost. It's way too strong. Can you build those actually? Can you build all the racial cruisers?
Me personally, no. I
Mm,
don't think so.
I'm retraining that actually right now. Cashed out some
I
injectors.
just I just made my skills to build enough faction stuff, and that's it. So I can liquidate either LP or contract stuff. Also speculation stuff, because obviously if you speculate and you get some blueprints, you need to be able to build them to like sell them faster, basically. But no, that's really all I have. I
Dude, the
just have
blueprints
like,
are super cheap, and I get like packs of them for 5 mil a piece.
oh, that's nice.
It's more expensive. These guys that are selling it, they're selling it at a near loss, I would think. All right, just so get to some more relevant stuff for our day-to-day playtime in Eve. Investor group update. The only thing I really have to update folks on is two more investments were completed. One of them was mine. And let me take a look at that actually. So right now, as far as our investment group goes, there's only two pending operations that still need to be paid out for a value of 26 billion ISK. Besides that, about 30 plus billion has exchanged hands and interest paid and all that so far. So pretty happy with the guys getting their getting some money and getting paid and improving their operations. Anything on your end, anything as far as investment group or any of your operations?
Well, the loan has been expanded to 120 shares. Total now invested is about 122 billion. So it's growing slowly. I bought more than I expected, basically. So everything's going fine. Posting 2% profit, profit for the investors for a week is also pretty good, I guess. All is good. Everyone happy, I guess. That's a good point.
So you mentioned shares. Do you use the corp shares mechanic to pay people out?
I don't understand the corp shares mechanic well enough to use them, so I don't use them. And the only reason for me to use them is if I were to pay dividends. But since I won't pay dividends in that fund, I would just reevaluate the price of the shares. I don't need to use corp shares, basically. Because what happens is that once I do my big summer patch sale, I'm basically going to reevaluate shares to whatever they're worth and tell people they can buy or sell right now for the week and then close it and then continue. But I don't pay dividends because paying dividends every week was also quite still a solid 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes of work every week to kind of keep everything updated. So when it comes to optimizing my workflow, that's one thing that have to go. It's not that I can't. I can totally do it. But if I want to optimize my workflow and spend more time on finding new investments and finding new things to do, I need to be optimal in that kind of sense. And I'm going to maybe update the value of the fund every 1 or 2 months. And that's going to be a smaller time sink. And hopefully that will allow me to do more stuff and bigger investments.
Okay, great. Do you think there's value in CCP to develop better ways for us to exchange money, in an investment sense?
I mean, redoing the corp share system would be a good idea. Making it actually, there's a few things that could be improved. Avoiding hostile takeovers and stuff like that, and actually being able to have a list of transactions of shares that happened in your wallet. That would be great. That would be the first thing I would work on because shares already exist. So just making that happen would be great. Loan contracts would be great because then you wouldn't have to trust either have a third party for collateralized loans, which is also a good thing. That means it's the two big things. They're not that hard to do. If they're done properly, that will also make things easier for me because then I could actually issue shares. But right now I can't because the system is a bit weird.
Yeah, it's like a half-done function.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it could be good. I mean, it's already mostly there, so just a few things to add.
Yeah, that's true. All right. I don't really have anything else to add to that kind of discussion, short of going into our picks for the week, unless you have anything else, man.
I'm gonna take a bet as to whether I will finish the year with 1-2 in fund or not. I guess I shouldn't bet on that. That doesn't get me banned.
Yeah,
but we have a third 1 trillion, fund going on, just to have the trillionaire club, and we could have the trillionaire fund club.
Oof.
That would be fun.
It's not even a real number, man. It's too many zeros.
A trillion.
All right, so we'll go into
Yeah.
our picks of the week here. Start off with our buys. First thing is we've seen this item often in our picks, so it's a very cyclic item. Dread Resist Adaptive Invulnerability Field. So right now, it's looking good for a buy if you can capture this at like 190. I think that's pretty reasonable based on the Dodging channel right now. And then it looks like it's positioning itself to be above average. You have the last median being above the 20-day moving average. So that's a really good sign that it may be reversing here soon, or at least getting close to it.
Mhm.
Because right now it's 201 to 221. That's actually, you can probably flip it right now, probably. That's
Yeah, I would-
10%,
I would-
10% before taxes. You could probably start flipping these.
Oh, 10% is always good. I mean, that's like the
It's a standard,
10%
right?
is like the point where it's like if you have enough volume in the item, you just go for it.
Yeah, so you can. It's definitely flippable right now.
Hmm.
Next item, Imperial Navy heatsink. Really odd to actually even have this to be called out, to be honest. But it is slightly below average right now, and it does have a very solid floor at like 85. The only thing I caution folks with this one is on the sell side of this, it's a bit wonky. You know, it's definitely more buys than sells. So do be careful. You may have to wait out a few cycles on this item before you cash out. And don't get too many. Considering the cost of it, it's under 100 million, and it only trades tops 100 units per day. So that's pretty paltry, to be honest.
It depends if you want to do. If you wanted to do a real stockpile, you would go up to 50 or 100. But if you want to go risk-free, I would say 20 is a good number.
Yeah, 20 is good.
20% of daily volume is like nothing. You can just not even worry about that. But
Yeah, I mean, and the main reason this is probably really tight is because Amar's at 0, at tier 1 rather. So there is that. Next item, I've never actually called out a structure before, but Forzar's actually
This is
looking really
interesting.
good to actually flip. And this is a really slow flip, by the way.
actually, I would not flip it. Because if the price stays at what it is right now,
No, yeah, I mean that's a really good.
I would
cross-reference this with the
I would actually
PI.
buy a few of them and wait to sell them roughly at the same time as refineries come out, or maybe a little after, maybe a little bit before. But the price for the components, which are going to be roughly the same, is going to go up from now, basically.
Yeah.
And if the price is good to buy now, then it's probably also good to hold if you can afford to hold, of course. So you can flip it. That's a good idea. But if
Such a
you're
long
more
flip,
into,
though.
it's a very long flip. But yeah, I mean, it could be that in the next couple of months will be the right time to start buying that kind of stuff. So
I flipped these before, less than 5 before, but I literally held on to it for like 3 months. Like literally. So if you're willing to hold on to an item, you know, in the neighborhood of 10 billion ISK, and you're
I mean, maybe
holding on
someone
to it,
watching has like a few hundred billion in the wallet and don't know what to do with it. So it's sensible if you
Yeah.
have that kind of money. I
And
guess
you're
just
not-
don't do it if you have 10 billion in your wallet. That's not a good idea.
and you're definitely not going to get beyond 5% on this. It trades way
Oh,
too
definitely
tight, way too
No,
tight.
no, definitely.
It's more of a, you know, oh, I have this much, but then I don't want to play Plex. I mean, once winter comes and we have the refineries, I would imagine, I can't imagine that the game at this point will have less of a demand for citadels in general.
Yes, you would have less of a demand, but I think the price of the materials for it is going to stay about the same because the price of the materials is, I mean, it's not, it's tied to scissors somehow, but it's also a lot tied to the effort that is required in making them. So if the price kind of crashes all around, it's not going to be very interesting to make them. Even though like the underlying materials may also like get lower, but the effect is a lot smaller at that point. So I guess it's going to be harder to sell them. But what's going to be interesting though is going to see the BPO price because that's going to be interesting because you have so many BPOs floating around. They're already
You
selling
mean
like
sets?
researched and below NPC price.
Okay, you mean
So
sets, right? Not
not the BPOs.
the BPOs themselves. Okay.
Yeah, so like the 40 BPO is going to sell under NPC when it's researched because well, there's too many of them.
Yeah, that's true.
And that phenomenon might accentuate, I think. But
I mean, it's
the
happened
price of
to
Forza
to old.
themselves,
It's happened to capital BPOs already, long time ago.
well, I mean, they're not selling like below. I mean, it might have happened in the past, but right now they're selling above NPC.
Yeah.
But like Citadels are selling quite consistently below NPC, so that's like another ballpark.
Yep. All right. Well, this is just definitely for the brave traders out there for the Fortizars. I definitely don't have the money to do this again, nor can I afford nor can I afford to hold on to it for 3 months. No way. I'm definitely higher activity these days. So, all right. Well, that's really all our buys that we're gonna call out this week, guys. If there's anything else that you guys may have noticed, yeah, let us know. Maybe you can share some stuff there. But as far as cells, we have a Caldari Navy Medium Shield Extender. We call this item a lot, like a lot. Slightly above average, right now, or sorry, slightly below average with where the median falls. But what's the range on this thing right now? 13 to 15. Now you're gonna have to wait for this thing to hit like in the 20s. Is it possible to see that again? Yeah, it is. Caldari is not gonna get up from tier one in a while, so you're gonna have diminished methods of gaining a whole lot of LP all at once. So, and this is a very popular item. It's an actually used item. It's not just used to wash off LP. So, it's actually used and fitted in ships, and then it gets destroyed. So it's a solid item to get into. Then we have the implants. This is actually a really interesting hit on implants this week. Genulution, the CA3s and CA4s. CA3 is well above average, but started to trend down on the last 2 days. So I'm not sure if you have enough pressure here to actually get a good price on this. But if it's just, I'm just calling these for sells. So if you happen to have them handy, I'd probably sell them now. They're selling for 78 million right now. Never use these implants, man. And the CA4s showing the same pattern, but a lot more accentuated there. It doesn't look like it's stopping, so I'm not sure what this thing does, but it seems to be pretty high demand. What does this do? Armor. Armor and inertia modifier. Wow, okay, that's interesting. And finally, our last sell for the week. Melted nano ribbons. I actually finally finished flipping my stock of melted nano ribbons. Thank God. It took a while, man. very, very sudden increase in price for the melted nanoribbons, but then it corrected pretty quickly as well. So it's still technically
Did you
above
get to
average.
sell some?
Oh yeah. Let me show you. Bought at 13, sold at 15.
Yes.
Uh, 11% before taxes. It's really strange. I mean, not. I don't know of a lot of people that play melted nanoribbons. I mean, not to actually.
I wouldn't dare. I don't understand the market enough to actually do it, but you probably do. So
It's
I would
really
follow
more.
your advice maybe, but it's so complicated because T3 is just that
Not really.
complicated to
Because
make.
if you think about it, as far as the farmers, melted nanoribbons drop pretty generously. You know, when you do sites and stuff, and a lot of people don't bother to hold on to in the same way people in nullsec will hold on to minerals to build on
So
site, right? People just like they sell this shit because there's no bounties. You have to sell something. Yeah, you know what I mean.
yep.
Otherwise, you're just holding on to stuff. Yep. So that's really our calls for the week, guys. So hopefully you guys will be able to act on these this week. But that's really all I have, man. We had really good discussions today too, man. It's awesome.
I mean the calls. I mean, I would give you another. I would give another call, but it would kind of
Yeah. What you got, man?
when I finish at 60 billion, I'm gonna tell people. But until then, I'm gonna zip it.
Mom is the word. Yeah, I think that's provides really good insight. You know, especially for folks who may not have the same type of funding as you do. I'm not gonna lie, man. I don't miss having that much money to play with. I really,
Really?
really don't. No,
Because
man.
I mean, I stopped having my fund and I already started. I didn't have my fund, but I was like seeing so many things in the market. I started borrowing. I think I borrowed like 50 billion, like just like that from like private investors. Just because I saw some things, I said, yeah, I could try that. I could try that. I was just borrowing to actually get something started. But it was like very different from my like big fund with station trading. It's just like I've been speculating since I stopped station trading, so that's that now.
Oh, you know
But
what?
I've seen like so many opportunities to use them that I can't stop right now. I don't feel like stopping anytime soon.
I just noticed, I got melted nanoribbons in my wallet here. Probug actually bought a whole bunch of melted nanoribbons from me to make his dang tangus and shit. That's awesome. I mean, to me, like I prefer having less funds to play with because it makes me figure out what the best course of action is.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It's more challenging. That and especially with how I'm doing stuff now with contracts, I'm definitely busy with that. Definitely busy with that. I just don't have enough market orders.
But yeah, do I need to own your character? Because I think I make too many. But I use about half of mine, and I have 1,000. So it's like certainly I don't regret making them right now.
Well, once I set my orders, I
So-
don't adjust them. I
Yeah, but
adjust
those
them.
are the best orders, though.
Yeah, I adjusted them for the
You
first
don't need
time,
to
like
adjust them.
I think yesterday, and that was the first time I adjusted them in a week. I
But
didn't
that's
even
a
go
pretty
through
good
all
way
of
to
them.
trade. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I didn't even go through all of them, man. It's like it was like the wallet was bugged, like it wasn't cycling through the orders properly, and I'm not sure if I was just I wasn't sure if I was really just adjusting like just a small portion of them and it just kept cycling through to the top of the list. It's kind of strange. All right, well, I don't have really much of anything else unless you have anything else to add, anything, any shout outs or anything like that.
No, I think I've done like a good review of what's going on. Hopefully, more interesting stuff next week. We always find something, obviously.
It's always something, man.
I'm looking forward to next week.
Yep, awesome. Thanks. My shout. Oh, Sven, this is a good discussion, mate. Thanks for another show. Hey, appreciate it, man. My only thing is, I'm starting to. I'm planning, at least, to actually start doing real life stock streams. We'll see how that goes. I'll probably do it in my own personal channel. I'm not sure that's a really good fit for Event as far as since it's real life stuff. But that's definitely something I want to start testing out. Just stream myself, do stock research. Since I do intend to actually get back into the real stock game.
I'm curious about that too. Then I don't have the capital to trade like I really need.
Oh
So
man,
it'll
could
be,
you imagine?
It'll be from afar.
Man,
Could you imagine like just borrowing money from people?
it's making it rain, man. It's making it rain. Yeah, but I'm really interested to see because I was a real life stock trader first. Then I started doing it in Eve. Then I'm doing it again in real life. So it feels like I'm going home.
Wouldn't it be funny though, trying to like going on NCC Lounge and asking people, "Hey, will you loan me like $1,000 for trading?"
I don't think we do that.
I will. I mean, I would be tempted to do that just for a joke, but it would be half joke because I would actually take it if someone gave it to me.
And if someone
But,
actually offered it, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, I would take it if someone offered it. But I would do it for a joke mostly.
Well, yeah, I mean, it'd be hard to say no, right? That'd be something. That'd be something. That'd be something. Yeah, but I definitely intend to start doing that. I'm finalizing. I'm pretty sure I use Scottrade, so I'm pretty sure I can actually start putting funds into my Scottrade account now. I mean, I've used them before. It's just a pain because I really thought I could just continue with my old account, but I don't have any of the old info for my old account, so I had to start a new one. Yeah, but it'd be kind of cool. I definitely want to share kind of like my methods and stuff like that on how to identify stocks in the real world. Oddly enough, they're very similar to Eve. They're effectively the same thing.
That's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. Looking forward. Oh, I intend to. Hopefully, I can start by next week. I should once I start moving some money to my Scottrade account, and I'll start doing it. We'll see how it goes. So hopefully, there's some crossover viewership there. That'd be nice. If not, it's gonna be exciting too, even if there isn't. So it's gonna be a fresh new set of viewership, or those just interested in the subject, you know. All right, well, that's really all I got, man. I think we're ready to call it. What do you think?
I'm good with that.
All right, well, thank you very much for being here, guys. And as always, I'll have this uploaded to YouTube before within the next few hours, and then you'll see that in Twitter and all that. And thank you very much for spending your evening with us. And we'll see you again next week. Thanks, guys. And thank you, Theo, for being here. Appreciate it, dude.
Thanks for having me.
Later, guys.